So let's talk a little bit about frequency. There's a lot of talk about frequency. Raise your frequency, get a high vibe. So I kind of wanted to come at you from a layperson's perspective. You know, I've done lots of research and studying. I'm certainly not a physicist or an electrician, but I know some stuff. So I want to give this to you in a way that can help you better understand frequency. Now, one thing that is important for us to all comprehend is that the human body can only handle certain frequencies. So when people say, I've got to raise my frequency, that's true, but it's within the realm of what the human vessel can handle. Likewise, we think of really high vibrations as being good and as really low ones as being bad. But that's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because in essence, there is no solid matter. I mean, this selenite heart is not solid matter. It's reduced frequencies that has gotten dense and solidified. And so it feels like matter. But if I stuck this under a microscope, it would be 99.999% invisible plasma, right? So it's not really matter. But for our intents and purposes, anything that we interpret with our eyes, with our ears, with our tactile senses, taste, we assume is matter. It's real. Okay, can we agree on that? Someone recently in a science group I'm in posted something from the 50s. It was in the military. And they were explaining that when you take a quartz crystal and you make it thinner, excuse me, that the vibration becomes very, very high and rapid. And people are like, yeah, then we should just go ahead and get crystal cutters and start slicing all our crystals. No, 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 no. The human body can only handle certain frequencies. And if you've ever heard of Rife, Royal Raymond Rife, which there's a lot of fake Rife frequencies out there. Trust me, I've experimented with some, and I know people who research them like diligently, and there's a lot of fake ones out there. I think there are a couple good ones too. Never mind that. The point being that the way Rife killed pathogens such as cancer was by blasting a resonant frequency at the pathogen in the body. I want you to think about that. In that case, frequencies killed inside the body. Okay, so you don't want to mess around with frequencies that are not intended to heal. You know, and if you know the story of Raymond Rife, Royal Raymond Rife, sorry, then you would know that after he had allegedly, really well documented, healed hundreds of people of cancer and other terminal illnesses, his lab blew up. His lab blew up and he got ridiculed. That kind of happens with all people that make big discoveries. Just saying. Anyhow, that is a good demonstration of how sending frequencies can be harmful and damaging. Likewise, people say to me, well, gee, Tamara, you talk negatively about 5G. Gee, Tamara, 5G, that was just totally an accident. But 5G is a very high, fast frequency. Why is that harmful? That should just like take me to nirvana. No, 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 no. 5G is an artificially engineered, and it's very devastating to our cells. Never mind the spiritual aspect of raising your frequencies. It's very detrimental. You know, a lot of things too, and I sound like a conspiracy theorist today, and I'm really not, I don't think. Maybe. Anyway, the chemtrails. You know, whatever comes out of the sky. Oh, by the way, quick commercial break. If you want to go to my website, tamaradorris.com, and in my store, I custom make these orgonite pyramids, and I make them as intention pyramids. So I do a lot of work on them as far as embedding and infusing them with intentions, and then I do radionics treatment on them. But just by virtue of having quartz crystal and every layer having metal and then having copper in it, you can put these in your house, and it has a measurable effect on how bad the Wi-Fi and the electro pollution affect you. Likewise, you can go on Amazon and you can order 𝒑𝒏𝒕 stickers. Or if you just want to go on Amazon and buy a lot of 𒑑𝒏𝒕, make sure it's really 𒑑𝒏𝒕. It's not very expensive. These are things that will protect and shield us against the bad frequencies. Okay? So that was a little frequency talk. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this horrible drawing, but I'm just going to show you just for reference point, and then I'll come back to it. But visuals are helpful. So here's you as a person. Here's what you put in you as a person. And here's things that you can do to you or that are being done to you from the outside of the person. Okay? So you've got you as a person, you've got the things you do as a person, and then you've got things outside of you as a person. This is all about vibration and frequency. Okay, so we're going to forget me as a person and we're going to go right to the things I do. These are all things that affect your frequency. The food I eat. Am I eating organic? Am I eating grass-fed? Am I eating free range? Am I eating or vegetarian? Am I eating plenty of raw fruits and vegetables? Am I eating food that has been filled with antibiotics and GMO? Those things, cheeseburgers, fast food, those things are going to really reduce my frequency in a negative way. So the things we put in our body absolutely has an impact. I see people at, I don't know, like psychic fairs and yoga studios and you know, in the spiritual Facebook groups, and they're like going to Starbucks and eating fast food, and you know, it's like, you've got, if you want to be at a higher frequency, it's a full-time job. I'm not saying full-time like 9 to 5, but you've got to watch it all the time. So what you put in your body, structured water. Make sure your water is purified. Hopefully you can structure it. All you need to do to structure your water is do a double terminated crystal inside it. That really, really helps. Use coil, use tensor rings. I'm not going to get into all that right now. But the things you put in your body have an absolute impact. Okay, the third segment is things that are outside of you. That would be 5G. That's outside of you, but it's affecting your frequency. Other things that are outside of you would be energy healing. Like I use radionics on clients and on property and on pets and people. That's outside of them. I'm sitting in my office. Yeah, it's electrical plugged in, but all I have is a picture of them, and that's my what's called a witness. I'm not going to them and putting food in their mouth or touching them or doing anything that way. So those things outside of you can raise your frequency or lower it, depending on which thing you choose. Any kind of distant healing, distant prayer, that's outside of you. Okay, so here's what I find. I find that people in those 3 different areas, people will really, really glom on to the third. They'll be like, I'm going to have energy healing. I'm going to buy 5 pyramids to put around my house. I'm going to, you know, they like that. They like the external. And sometimes they ignore the internal. They ignore the things they put in them. They don't pay attention to the diet. And it's just as important to get to eat a fresh banana as it is to get a Reiki treatment. There's no difference when it comes to frequency. Okay, there's no difference. You've got those 3 realms. Outside of you, things you put inside of you, and then you. Now we're at you. Now we're at the part right here. We're at this part right here. And you know what? This is the most important. And it's the most overlooked. Because at the end of the day, human consciousness is more important than what you eat or what kind of energy work you have done or how many tuning forks you have or whatever essential oils you use. Those are things that you can outside of you or that you can put inside of you, and they very much help. But human consciousness is the epitome of raising your frequency. How do I know this? Let's take an example. Let's take someone that has cancer. Someone has cancer, there's obviously a very detrimental frequency going on in their body. And if that were me, or if that's you, I would explore the very best researched right frequencies, and you're going to have to go underground because it's not going to be mainstream media. They don't want you to know that. But I would do that, and I would drink hot water with lemon every day. Not giving medical advice, not a doctor. These are just things that I have picked up. But here's what I know. While those things outside of you can help you, nothing is more important than your own consciousness. Your consciousness is what is the catalyst for what they call spontaneous healing, right? Spontaneous healing, a spontaneous remission. The placebo effect. I'm going to do a whole video on the placebo effect because people have it all wrong. Yeah, it's because someone's belief in it, but that's their frequency. That's the belief. They believe that they could heal, and so they use their consciousness, and the cells were like, okay, we're out of here. It's all consciousness. Quantum physics proves, in my opinion, that the whole world is consciousness. So that is basically what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to make sure you understood that high frequency is great when it's natural, like in crystals, in pyramids, in copper structures, being in natural places, being outside in nature. The magnetic frequency of the earth is 7.83. That's called the Schumann resonance. But you start sticking all these artificially engineered frequencies that are just, and chemicals that are going, get it? One is on the outside of me, one is going inside of me, but they're there. And I have to raise my frequency so that I can keep a strong enough field. And I do it all three ways. I have a pyramid in every room in my house. I have what's called cloud busters, tower busters. You can look those up. I don't make those for sale. I protect myself with shungite and crystals. I use radionics. I use a singing bowl. I use tuning forks. I use essential oil. I use flower essence. I make sure I eat clean, pure food. I drink structured water, but I know that more than anything is my level of consciousness and the structured water that I hold inside my body. We are all 99.9% of our molecules, 99.9%. And you have like 52 trillion, but 99.9% of your molecules are structured water. And what happens is over time, as our frequency lowers, that water that's structured, that's encasing our DNA, becomes less and less structured. It becomes destructured. Now we're at a lower density. And we're at a lower density, we're at a lower vibration. So you see, all these things coalesce together. They all matter. Not just where you eat your lunch, or did you meditate this morning, or let's go have a Reiki treatment. They all matter together. Your goal is to keep your body and your attitude and your emotions at the highest frequency possible. Okay, so hopefully you found that useful. If you're interested in ordering a custom-made intention pyramid, go to my website at tamaradorris.com. If you're interested in having an interview session or a hypnotherapy session or a coaching session, all in my wheelhouse. Just check me out at the links below, and I hope you have a beautiful day.